This is your old self. The thoughts you repeat, the emotions you relive, the memories you won't release. And as long as you carry this, your reality can't change. The weight isn't always physical. Most of the time it's invisible, a silent load you've carried for years. But it's there, in the tightness in your chest every morning, in the voice in your head that says, "Don't expect too much," in the patterns you swore you'd never repeat, but did anyway. It lives in your nervous system, your chemistry, your micro-decisions. It's not just a past, it's a frequency. And like a song stuck on loop, your old self plays over and over while your dreams wait on pause. Here's what no one tells you. You can't step into your new life while being loyal to the energy of your past. Most people don't realize this. They try to manifest by thinking differently, by visualizing, by scripting. But underneath it all, they're still being the same person. Still waking up in the same emotional state. Still remembering the same story. Still expecting the world to shift while they stay energetically identical to who they were yesterday. Let's get honest. That identity, your old self, was built, for one thing, survival. It was crafted during pain, in response to rejection, failure, disappointment. You didn't choose it consciously. It was a reaction, a defense mechanism, a mask you learned to wear. But over time, that mask became familiar, comfortable. You forgot it was a mask, and now it feels like you, but what if it isn't? What if the voice in your head that says, "You're not ready," or "That's too risky," isn't truth? It's just the voice of a past you haven't released yet? Quantum physics teaches us something revolutionary. Reality doesn't exist independently. It responds to the observer, to your state of being. You are not separate from the field. You are the field, collapsed into form. So every time you wake up and embody that old self, guess what the universe delivers? More of the same. Not because you're cursed, not because you're doing it wrong, but because the field is loyal to coherence. And you are the tuning fork. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest who you're being. That's why this work isn't about becoming someone new. It's about unbecoming everything you're not. The old self wants to keep you safe, but safety is not your soul's purpose. Stagnation is not your destiny. That heavy identity you've carried, the one shaped by trauma, shame, failure, or rejection, is not the version of you who lives the reality you've glimpsed in your highest visions. That future reality is waiting, and it already exists, not in the distant future, but in a parallel vibration, in a frequency you align to, not chase. But here's the hard truth. You cannot access that reality while emotionally addicted to your past. You can't keep reliving guilt, resentment, or self-doubt and expect expansion. You can't show up as yesterday's version of yourself and collapse a timeline you've never met. So what do? In this video, we will break this loop. We will meet the old self, not to judge it but to release it. We'll honor what it taught us and then we'll let it go. Together we will enter the quantum field, not with words, but with vibration, and I'll guide you in collapsing the energetic imprint of the past, so you can finally inhabit the version of you who already lives the life you've been asking for. Because the field isn't asking you to try harder. It's waiting for you to tune in differently. You are not stuck because your future isn't real. You're stuck because your identity keeps collapsing the same reality over and over. But once you shift that, once you release the weight, the wounds, the labels, you'll witness something extraordinary. Life will bend. Reality will reconfigure. The field will respond. Not because of what you said, but because of what you became. Now take a breath. Something is already stirring, and it's not coming from outside you, it's awakening from within. Are you ready to meet the version of you that's already free? Let's continue. You wake up. Same bed, same thoughts, same internal narrative whispering through your mind before you even open your eyes. I hope today is different, you might think. But the moment your feet hit the floor, your body has already chosen otherwise. Why? Because long before your conscious mind begins to create, your subconscious identity has already taken over. You don't step into a new day. You step into an old self. Again, the body remembers. It remembers who you've been, not as memory, but as biology. Emotions become neurochemical patterns. Behaviors become automatic. Over time, you stop responding to the present moment. You simply replay the past, over and over, until the present stops feeling alive and starts feeling like déjà vu. According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, by the time you're 35 years old, 95% of who you are is a set of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, unconscious habits, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions. In other words, most of what you call you isn't really you. It's programming, it's conditioning, it's the old self, and it's running the show. Bruce Lipton expands this. The moment you change your perception is the moment you rewrite the chemistry of your body, which means that who you're being chemically, emotionally, energetically is writing the reality you're living. This is why change can feel so hard. Because you're not just trying to shift your thought, you're trying to shift the emotional addiction your body has developed toward being that version of you. The self who expects disappointment, who's prepared for abandonment, who doesn't believe they're worthy of big things, not because they're broken, but because somewhere long ago they decided it was safer to expect less. You didn't choose to live this way, but at some point your system decided that suffering was familiar, and what's familiar becomes safe, even if it hurts. This is the real prison, not the outer world, but the identity we're afraid to leave behind, even when it's making us sick, even when it's stealing our joy, even when we know deep down and it's not who we truly are. So let me ask you, with compassion, not judgment, what emotions do you feel the most often? Is it regret, anger, shame, insecurity, doubt? What if those emotions aren't random? What if they're rehearsed? What if your body is addicted to those signals because they reinforce the chemical identity of the old self? And if that's true, what kind of reality do you think that emotional broadcast is attracting? Here's the brutal truth most people never confront. Your old self is not just a memory, it's a magnetic field, and the quantum field is listening. Not to your affirmations, not to your vision board, but to the emotional signature you carry 24/7. You may say you want love, but if your baseline is, I am not enough, you will repel intimacy. You may visualize abundance, but if you're emotional, home is fear, you will unconsciously block opportunities, not because you don't deserve them, but because your nervous system has not yet updated the version of you who is aligned with receiving. That's why you can read all the books, take all the courses, repeat all the mantras, and still feel stuck. Because healing isn't just mental, it's vibrational, embodied, cellular. So what now? First, we bring awareness to this pattern, not to shame it, but to see it, to recognize that who you've been is not a fixed reality. It's a practice vibration, one that you can stop rehearsing the moment you decide to no longer identify with it. This isn't about self-hate. This is about self-liberation, about giving yourself permission to stop carrying the weight of the version of you that only existed, to survive a version of the world that no longer exists. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you start to observe your old self without merging with it, when you witness it from the eyes of your higher self, you become the observer. And in quantum terms, that changes everything. The observer collapses the wave. The moment you become aware of your old self as a pattern, you are no longer the pattern. You are the consciousness watching the pattern. And that awareness, that's the first crack of light in a whole new reality. So now I ask you to engage, but not just by liking or subscribing. I want something deeper. Take a moment and comment below with this phrase. I am ready to release the version of me that no longer matches my future. Not as a ritual, not as a trend, but as a declaration, a conscious interruption in the loop, a signal to the field that you are no longer available for the past. And if this message is touching something in You ate something old, something sacred, something stirring. Then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this new frequency. This space is not about information, it's about transformation. And if you're ready for that shift, you are exactly where you're meant to be. We've been told to ask, to believe, to visualize. And yet, so many of us are still waiting for something to click, for the money to arrive, for the right person to appear, for the breakthrough to finally happen. And when it doesn't, we question ourselves. We wonder if we're doing it wrong, if we're blocked, if maybe we're not meant for more. But what if the problem isn't that your desire is too big, but that your vibration is still too familiar? Here's the truth that most manifestation teachings leave out. The quantum field doesn't respond to your words. It doesn't react to your vision board. It doesn't even care what you say you want. It mirrors back only one thing: your state of being. This is the law of vibrational coherence. In quantum terms, coherence is when your heart, your mind, your emotions, and your actions are all aligned. It's the energetic yes the universe is waiting for. Not the kind of yes that you write in a journal or speak aloud once in the morning, but the kind of yes that is embodied, felt, lived, consistent. You cannot out-manifest your frequency. The field doesn't hear "I want abundance." It hears "I am not enough," if that's what you feel all day long. It doesn't see your dream home if you're living inside fear. It doesn't notice your desire for love if your emotional home is loneliness, jealousy, or unworthiness. Not because the field is cruel, but because it is exact. Think of the quantum field like a mirror. You don't raise your hand and expect the reflection to raise the other. You have to shift, truly, for the reflection to follow. The issue is most of us are trying to manifest from our current identity. We are using the lens of who we are now to try and access a timeline that belongs to a completely different version of us. But the future you, the one living the life you want, doesn't just think differently. They are different. They feel different. They walk into rooms differently. They speak from a deeper place. They've shifted from wanting to being, from hoping to embodying. Let's break it down even more scientifically. Every thought you think sends out an electrical signal. Every emotion you feel radiates magnetically. Together, your thoughts and emotions are a vibrational broadcast, like a radio signal, constantly transmitting a message to the quantum field. And that message is not what you want, it's who you are. So ask yourself, what are you broadcasting? Is your inner frequency congruent with the reality you say you're ready for? Or are you still broadcasting lack, fear, doubt, and impatience, while trying to tune into a timeline that's built on gratitude, trust, joy, and abundance? Imagine trying to listen to a soul-stirring symphony, but your radio is still set to static. That's what it's like when your old self tries to reach for a new timeline. And it's not just about positive thinking. That's surface level. This is about energetic truth. Because the universe, the field, doesn't respond to what's on your lips. It responds to what's in your nervous system. One of the most powerful insights from Heisenberg and the observer effect is this: the act of observing collapses potential into form. But here's the twist. It's not just that you observe reality. It's that who you are while observing determines what collapses. Neville Goddard said it beautifully. You are not manifesting. You are selecting. And who you're being is the selector. Let that sink in. You are not attracting a future. You are tuning into one, selecting it, aligning with it. But you can't align with something your current self has never met. That's why the shift is internal. You become the version of you that naturally attracts what you've been trying to chase. You don't pull things in, you pull yourself up. This is why manifestation without identity work will always feel like pushing a boulder uphill. You're trying to build a future on the foundation of an outdated self. And it doesn't matter how beautiful the blueprint is. If the ground underneath hasn't shifted, the structure will collapse. So here's the question that matters more than any vision board. Who do I need to become to be a vibrational match to what I desire? Not in the future. Now. In this moment. In thought. In feeling. In action. In embodiment. Because when you become, the universe reflects. Not gradually, but instantly. Not always in physical form right away, but in energy, in signs, in synchronicities, in sensations. You'll know because you'll feel it. That gentle pull that says, you've tuned into something real. You'll stop feeling like you're trying so hard and start feeling like you're in the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing, as the right version of you. And that's when the field begins to bend. Ready to discover who your future self already is? You don't need to create the new you. You need to remember them. There's a version of you who already lives in the frequency of everything you've ever asked for. Not a future version, not a hypothetical ideal. A very real, very alive self that already exists, right now, in the quantum field. And the only thing separating you from that version is your vibration. This might sound radical, but quantum physics has been telling us for decades, reality is not linear. Time is not fixed. You are not walking down a straight line from point A to point B, slowly building toward a future self. What actually exists is a vast, infinite field of now moments, all occurring simultaneously, all available, depending on what you tune into. In quantum language, we call this the multiverse. In spiritual language, we call this divine potential. Either way, the message is the same. The you who is thriving, healed, empowered, magnetic, is not on the way. They are already here. In a different frequency, a different vibrational pattern, a different state of being, and your task is not to chase them. Your task is to collapse the distance between where you are and who they are, by becoming vibrationally compatible. But let's pause for a moment, because this isn't just philosophy, this is deeply practical. So ask yourself, if your highest self were already living inside of you, what would they think? How would they breathe? Walk? Speak to strangers? Handle money? Face the unknown? Would they still be clinging to doubt? Would they still be replaying the story of rejection from years ago? Would they be settling for less because maybe this is all I get? No. Your higher self vibrates from trust, from alignment, from grounded confidence and magnetic calm. They don't manifest through effort. They attract through coherence. Their energy speaks before they do. And everything in their life, from relationships to health to purpose, responds accordingly. Because here's a truth most people miss. The universe doesn't rearrange itself because you're worthy. It rearranges because you're resonant. And resonance is not something you beg for. It's something you become. That's why the most powerful shift you can make today isn't external. It's internal. It's choosing to stop identifying with the old story and start aligning with the new one. And not because it's already here physically, but because you've decided to meet it vibrationally. You walk first, then the path appears. So let's go deeper. Take a moment and close your eyes. Imagine yourself walking into a room. The version of you who already lives the life you desire is standing there. Feel their presence. Not as something distant or mystical, but as someone familiar, because they are you. They've always been you, just waiting for you to remember. Look at how they carry themselves. The ease in their shoulders, the light in their eyes, the clarity in their voice. They don't need to convince anyone, they radiate truth. They've let go of the weight. They've burned the old scripts. They've collapsed the version of themselves that was built on fear. And in its place, they've allowed a new identity to emerge. And now ask them, what did they let go of to become this free? Because the new self is not built by adding more. It's revealed by subtracting, by peeling away layers of programming, pain, and pretense, until all that's left is essence, soul, truth, alignment. This is the shift. You are not becoming something. You are remembering something. You are not constructing a new reality. You are tuning into one that already exists. And here's where it gets magical. The moment you do, the moment you stop identifying with the old frequency and start vibrating as the new self, the field responds. Subtly at first. A thought you've never had before. A person reaching out unexpectedly. An intuitive pull towards something your old self would have ignored. The more you follow that flow, the more the new timeline stabilizes. You begin to notice synchronicities, coincidences, openings, because you're no longer on the frequency of resistance. You're on the frequency of reception. And here's the most beautiful part. The old self doesn't have to be destroyed. It just has to be retired, thanked, honored, released. Because it was never bad. It was just outdated. Like an operating system that kept you functional but not free. So let it go. And step into the self who already knows how this story ends. The self who's already walking in alignment with the future you thought you had to chase. You are not attracting your new life. You are aligning with the version of you that's already living it. Are you ready to meet them? Let's not just talk about change. Let's feel it. Let's become it. Because no information, no insight, no teaching, no matter how powerful, will ever transform your life unless it becomes embodied. This is where the shift becomes real. This is where the new timeline stabilizes. Through intentional ritual, through energetic declaration, through full body choice. Right now, you're going to guide yourself into a quantum identity reset. Not by force, not by trying, but by collapsing. The identity that no longer serves your future, and stepping into the one that already does. Let's begin. Step 1. Name the old self. You can't let go of what you don't recognize, so give your old identity a name. It could be a word, a nickname, a symbol, something that captures who you've been. The you that's been looping through fear, doubt, limitation. Maybe it's the doubter, the overachiever, the one who settled. Whatever name comes intuitively, claim it. Now, speak to that identity. Thank it. It kept you alive. It helped you survive. But it's not the one who will carry you forward. Step 2. The ritual of release. Visualize yourself carrying that version of you like a heavy backpack. Like the image from this video, dragging a suitcase filled with memories, stories, patterns. And now, see yourself stopping, taking it off, setting it down. You don't need to destroy it. You just need to release it. Picture yourself walking away, lighter, taller, clearer. You've collapsed the energy that kept you bound. And in doing so, you've freed up space in the field for a new frequency to emerge. Step 3. Embody the new self. Who are you now? Feel it. In this moment, stand or sit in the posture of the version of you who already lives in alignment. The one who trusts their intuition. The one who radiates peace. The one who no longer needs to chase because they are what they once sought. How would they breathe? Speak? Look around? Respond to challenge? Shift into that version now. Step 4. Anchor it with a declaration. Repeat the following phrase, not mechanically, but with presence, with embodiment, with choice. I no longer collapse the past. I tune into who I truly am. Again, I no longer collapse the past. I tune into who I truly am. Let those words be a frequency, not just a mantra. Let them cut through the old signal. Let them echo in your cells. You're not just saying them, you're becoming them. Because every cell in your body, every atom in your being is listening. And more importantly, so is the field. As you vibrate as the new self, the field begins to rearrange. Possibilities that were once invisible begin to surface. People who match your new energy begin to appear. Your outer world doesn't shift because you begged for it. It shifts because you became someone new. You are now walking in resonance. And that resonance is your new reality. Here's the final piece. Ritual is not just a one-time event. It's a doorway, a frequency you revisit every time the old self tries to return. Because it will. Not to sabotage you, but to be witnessed, to be reminded that you've outgrown it. And each time you choose again, you reinforce the new vibration. So here's your practice every morning before the world comes in. Ask yourself, which version of me will collapse reality today? And choose, consciously, lovingly, powerfully. Because when you do, you're not just changing your life, you're changing timelines, and the ripple of that choice moves through the quantum field like a wave, reshaping what's possible, not just for you, but for every life you touch. You've reset your identity. You've collapsed the past. You've entered the field as someone new. When you finally let go of who you were, reality begins to rearrange itself around who you truly are. Not someday, not after a year of work, but now, in this moment. Because the shift doesn't begin when the world changes. It begins when you change, and maybe for the first time in a long time, you're feeling it. That lightness, that strange mix of peace and possibility, that inner whisper that says, something has shifted. That's not your imagination. That's the field responding. Reality has always been more malleable than we were taught. Not fixed, not rigid, but fluid, dynamic, alive, and waiting. Not for you to chase it, but for you to tune into it. This is how quantum manifestation actually works. You don't drag your future toward you. You rise to meet it. You become the frequency of the life you desire. And the external world by universal law must conform. Not because it's magic, but because it's mathematics. Because your vibration is the architecture of your reality, and when your vibration changes, your life cannot stay the same. Look around. Nothing may seem different yet, but you are. And that alone changes everything. Because from this point forward, every thought you choose, every emotion you embody, every belief you reinforce, is either aligning you with your expanded timeline or calling you back into the past, and you've already made your choice. So now, the real practice begins, not in theory but in life. When an old emotion rises, you'll remember, this is not me, this is a residue. When an old pattern tries to play out, you'll pause and say, I no longer collapse that version of me. When fear whispers, you'll respond with presence. When doubt returns, you'll breathe deeper. You'll speak softer. You'll act from a place the old self never had access to. You are no longer broadcasting the past. You've changed your signal, and that change has consequences. Beautiful, unimaginable, soul-expanding consequences. Some you'll recognize right away. Unexpected, clarity, elevated synchronicities, people showing up differently around you. Others will be more subtle, but just as real. A sudden sense of alignment. Ideas that flow effortlessly. Moments of divine timing that confirm you're finally walking with your true self. So as we close this sacred container, I want to ask you something deeper than a like or a subscribe. If this video woke something inside you, if it reminded you that there is a self within you that's not broken, not wounded, not stuck, but infinite, radiant, whole, then leave something in the field. Make your presence known. Speak not just to me, but to your future self. Comment. Below, the old me has been released. Let it be your signature, your energetic signature to the quantum field, a ripple, a vibration, a declaration. And if this space has felt like more than content, if it has felt like remembrance, then come closer. This isn't just a channel, it's a frequency. A home for those of us collapsing timelines and rising into the versions of ourselves we were born to be. So subscribe not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent, stay aligned, stay elevated. Because the real shift isn't just personal, it's collective. And the more of us who vibrate as our highest truth, the more this world begins to reflect that truth back to us. You are not alone in this. You are part of a field of beings awakening to their quantum nature. And now that you've remembered, you can't forget. The old you has served its purpose. The new you is already living the next chapter. And reality? It's listening. We'll see you in the next timeline.